Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Mile High Game Guys board gaming podcast. I'm your host, Adrian.
I'm Zach.
And I'm Jeff.
And we're coming to you with another review. First review of year 4.
Indeed it is.
Yeah.
And a heavy game.
And a heavy game. Like, you guys are just getting the one out of the way early.
Oh,
the one for the year.
Yep. We just happened to play one and we're like, all right, we're going to capitalize on this.
Yeah.
Get it done.
So, this week we are going to be reviewing Pipeline.
Before you make us review High Frontier or some shit like that.
I'm not going to, I don't want to review High
Well,
Frontier.
you didn't know at the time, so.
True.
That first round.
Oh,
I'm like,
man.
yeah.
I couldn't imagine if we had somehow committed to High Frontier as a review. And then
we can easily
I have to do
uncommit
this.
to High Frontier as a review.
This is true. Anyway, for Pipeline, because that's the game we're reviewing, Pipeline is a 2019 game coming from designer Ryan Courtney, art from Ian O'Toole, and published by Capstone Games. It plays 2 to 4 players and takes 120 minutes. Zach, do you have a rules rundown for us?
Yes, I do. In Pipeline, you are trying to run the best oil refinery and make the most money. On your turn, you can place a worker to gain pipes, buy and sell oil, buy tanks and machines, or get upgrades. You can also place your worker on your pipes to refine crude oil into different levels of refined oil. And finally, you can also buy pipes from the government at a discount. Gaining contracts will let you sell oil at a discount, but you don't have to take an action to do so. But you got to make sure you fulfill those contracts each year because failures will give you a penalty. And you will also be able to run pipelines automatically at the end of each of your turns with machines, but you got to pay for it. After 3 years, whoever has the most money wins. Pretty much.
Yeah. 3 ever-shortening years.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Time flies when you're building pipes.
Yes. Yes, it does.
Note I didn't say having fun.
God damn you. Let's start off here with some initial thoughts. Jeff, what were your initial thoughts going into Pipeline?
We had covered this a Kickstarter, right?
Yes.
Correct.
We covered that Kickstarter.
Yes,
And I remember the box looked real good.
indeed.
And that's about all I knew about that game in any way, shape, or form until I saw it on a table, and then Zach explained to me the rules for 40 minutes.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Zach, what about you? What were your thoughts going into Pipeline?
I remember when we were discussing it, it just, for whatever reason, me and Capstone have never seen eye to eye on games. And so I felt like this was going to continue that trend of an economic market game about building pipelines. And I was like, this does not seem like my cup of oil. So pretty much I was going to give it a try, but I wasn't expecting much going in.
Right on. I hate your cup of oil pun, by the way.
Good.
It physically hurts.
Good. I know it was crude.
God damn it. That was good. That was actually, okay, that was good. For myself, I was really looking forward to Pipeline. I didn't get a chance to play it when I saw it as a demo copy at HeavyCon a little over a year ago, I think it was. But I knew that Capstone had signed it, and it was being developed and worked on, and people kept really kind of raving about it. And then we covered the Kickstarter, like Jeff mentioned, and the art. I mean, they got Ian O'Toole as the artist, so the art is fantastic. And so I was really interested, really looking forward to play it. And, there was definitely I like logic puzzles and I like spatial puzzles, and this seemed like a really good combination of those thrown into an economic game. So, 100% super looking forward to this one. It was kind of my headspace going into it. So now that we're out of initial thoughts here, let's talk a little bit about components. Holy shit, are there a lot of components?
A lot of cardboard in this when we were punching this out at Paul's place.
Yeah, especially when it's like, hey,
When you had to punch out one of Paul's games,
Yeah.
as is tradition.
As is tradition.
Yeah. So this was the day that Megan got in her car accident. So we were supposed to meet at 6:30, and she got in a car accident, and I had to take her to work. And by that time, it was already 7:30. And then by the time we got to Paul's house, including Paul getting to Paul's house, and by the time we got in, he got the game, we realized it needed to be punched. We punched it. It was 9 o'clock when we started the rules explanation. It was it rapidly went from we'll knock this out this evening to oh God, we're gonna be here all night. But lots and lots of cardboard bits. So there are little essentially a 2x1 rectangle for all of the pipe tiles, and they have pipe coming off of all 6 of the sides of it.
There's 135 of them.
Yep.
Yeah, so there's a shit ton. The pipe is different colored, blue, orange, and silver. And, so some tiles will have like all orange pipe. Some will have all blue pipe. Some will have a mix of all three.
Every
like
combination thereof, I'm sure, is in these tiles.
Yeah. I mean, I got to think there's more than 135 possible combinations, but most of them are.
No,
are
that's
present.
it. That's it.
There are also punch-out cardboard bits for market tiles, contracts, money,
Order tiles.
order tiles, not market tiles.
All the upgrade cards,
Contracts and orders, yeah.
the oil barrels, machines, tanks, action tiles, money tiles,
tons,
upgrade tiles,
Yeah.
valuation
tiles.
cards,
Yeah, tons and tons of stuff.
player boards.
It's all really good quality.
Yeah.
At least certainly all the cardboard stuff. It's good, thick, heavy duty cardboard. I feel like all the cards are really nice quality.
It's easy enough to see what they mean at a glance. There's really no words on most of the stuff.
No,
So it's just all about, this is what this means, and it's very easy.
about the only thing I could think of that somebody might complain about from a components thing, if they're really wanting like a more blinged out version, is that the oil is just wooden cubes instead of being like, oil barrels or something. Like, played enough games now that have little oil barrel pieces.
Yeah.
I could see that being something that might bother some people if they were expecting higher quality things than just wood cubes. That seems to be a style that's going out more and more. Like, not many people just do wood cubes for resources. But otherwise, I think all really nice components. The art's beautiful. It's Tool art.
Yeah.
Very distinct and pops.
They condense a lot of information onto all of these spaces.
Yeah. Yeah, Tool's really, really good, I think, at the graphic design of like making it easy to look at a handful of symbols and understand what those symbols are telling you to do. He's got a real knack for it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anything else you guys
For components?
Yeah.
Components,
art, graphic design, anything along those lines?
I wish everything was double layered. There's so many tiles on tiles and tokens on tiles and spaces that it would be nice.
it would not have
but
fit
it
in
would,
that box.
No, literally everything would have to be dual layered, but it would be so nice.
It would be nice. You're not wrong,
I
but
feel like the only things that really get stacked are like your player board where you get your
tanks and oil pieces and stuff on them, but like on the board where you keep all the cubes and things like that.
Yeah, I could see like the government markets being recessed
yeah.
that you fill in with all that
and
extra
the crude
government
market
pipes.
and the refined market.
Yeah.
But then you're double layering the entire board.
Yeah, has anybody ever done a double layered game board?
Maybe they could have been the first. They decided not to do that.
No. It was a conscious choice.
I'm sure.
I don't even know how you'd make a double layer game board that would fold nicely.
I mean, it would
Just do
exactly the same.
Dominant
except
species, just shred that thing in half.
just rip it in half, and then you just start out ripped, and then you're fine.
Yep.
Oh man, I don't think that's the solution. I'm not sure what the solution is, but I don't
That's
think
what you
that's it.
tried. So
The one complaint I have is I wish that the government tile, or not the government tiles, the center board where you buy the tiles from.
Yeah, that's the government.
That's the government.
the four markets. Yeah.
The four government markets.
Yeah.
I wish that the like how you purchase them and place your meeple there, the outlines that are underneath of where you place them could have been a little darker, so you could tell how to actually like place those there or what the actual like orientations are for buying things and such. But
I never had any issues with it from like where I was sitting.
it's only a setup issue more than anything.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Guess if you're, playing in a candlelit church basement, that kind of thing.
No, it's not a brass problem. And then like the machine and pipes and then the tanks and pipes are a very similar shade of green.
Yeah, they could have chosen slightly different colors,
Yes.
I think, but otherwise it's fine. It had different symbols, so
Yeah, they have different symbols, but it's just sort of remembering that.
Right on. Well, then let's transition over to some rules and rules explanation. So, as Jeff alluded to, it took like 40 minutes for Zach to teach it to him.
Also, I guess this isn't rules or anything, but just the fact that the oil is just oil. Like they're different colors. I guess I forgot to mention that too.
I mean, I get that. Considering like when we were trying to learn the game at Paul's house, Like that was as soon as I was like, oh, like you have the 3 colors of oil, teal, orange, and silver. Both you and Paul were immediately like, what types of oil are those? Like, why are there 3 different kinds of oil?
Yeah.
And I was like, because there are 3 different kinds of oil.
Okay.
There's no explanation even attempted in the rule book. No vague like thing.
It's there for oil. Orange oil goes through orange pipelines.
Yep.
You can't you can't mix, like you can't just run orange oil and then blue oil. You get brown oil, and that's garbage. Everybody knows that brown oil is garbage.
Yep. It's the worst kind of oil.
Yeah.
Getting real fucked with orange oil in that last game. Still just right there in the back of my mind.
I'm sure.
It's garbage oil all the way. But yeah, so
there's no theme to this game. It's oil. You run it. You get money.
I mean, even that, like, there's nothing thematically that makes it oil.
No.
Like, these cubes there's 0, 1, 2, and 3 value.
Could be different types of Hawaiian punch you're crafting in this giant industry machine.
You know what? That would be. we gotta change it because there's no reason we can't.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's the Hawaiian punch machine. That's what makes it from crude Hawaiian punch to refined Hawaiian punch.
There's different tiers of refined Hawaiian punch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Low grade, mid grade, high grade.
Absolutely.
You want to get that high grade Hawaiian punch.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the one that comes with carbonations.
And middle tier is just lightly carbonated.
Yeah.
But the rules themselves, I don't think are that complicated. I think they can be a little bit difficult to explain.
Not complicated, hard to explain, and there's a lot of them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because if you, I would recommend everyone go and look at a picture of what this game looks like set up. There's a lot.
Yeah, I think that's
you can interact with every single piece on that board.
Mm-hmm.
And I think just trying to come up with a good way to teach it where you relate those things in a cohesive manner, I think you could really get the teach down.
Yes.
You know, like we learned it. I think it took us like an hour learning it from the rule book.
Yeah.
And even it might not have even taken that long.
And
that was with you and Paul being at like peak fucking with Adrian.
Yeah.
Like
I don't think I've ever even seen the rule book to this game.
That's fine.
I think it's actually a good rule book. I think it's laid out well.
Yeah.
You know, we learned the game from it really
it only
easily.
had a couple mistakes.
I think we only had really one mistake, and that was just I don't think even everybody in the game made that mistake.
Well, we had 2 mistakes. The 2 biggest mistakes that we made. One, there are different ones in the first game versus the second game.
Well, yeah, but the second game, I guess you could argue that was a rules problem,
Yes.
but also we should have used common sense. In the first game, like I think John, who was in town and had played it, he knew about. So the rule we were playing wrong is normally one of the actions you can take is you place your pawn on your pipeline and you run all the pipes connected to the tile you place your worker on.
And that's how you convert oil, mostly during the beginning, because you don't have enough money for machines. You got to do it yourself,
depending on the length of pipe that it is running,
right?
And whatever random length it needs to make that type of Hawaiian punch.
Yeah, if you just flow it through 4 pipes, it's suddenly better.
Yes.
But you just put your worker there and it does that. The rule that we missed that John, I think, knew and I don't think John ever cheated on this.
I technically didn't either, but that's because
I
didn't do anything
in
that first game to help.
What we didn't realize is that when you buy a machine, you attach it to your pipes, and then now you can spend 15 at the end of your turn, and your machine will pump oil through every pipe attached to it. What we missed is that once you've attached a machine to a pipe, you can no longer place your worker anywhere on that pipe to run it. And so some of us were using our workers to run machine pipes for free.
Yep.
But just one pipe. It's not like we were putting it on the machine and running all 4. We were only running like the 1 tile's worth. But that is not allowed.
Nope.
So I think that's definitely an easy to miss rule. The second game's rule, in the wording of the rule book, I think the wording's a little off. When you're fulfilling contracts or orders, it says in the rules, the specific wording is receive the value of the oil you place. And so that led us to think that if you placed a mid-grade oil on a low-grade contract, you got paid for mid-grade oil, which is not the case. You get paid for whatever the spot you're filling. If somebody wants to buy low-grade oil, you can sell them mid-grade, and they'll be like, sweet, we got better mid-grade, but we're only paying you the low-grade prices you were contracted for.
Right.
And so the rules having that wording of receive value of the oil you place, kind of threw us there. If you look at the example in the rule book, it clearly I think it really clears up that you get it for whatever the spot you're placing on, which is where I said if we thought about it logically, if you can do that, there's no reason to ever buy
Exactly.
the high quality contracts.
Oh, no, 100%. But that's
So.
asking a lot for us to think
Yeah.
logically.
Especially when we're learning a game for a review.
So I was telling Boyd on the Slack, it's like we get all those things wrong so that we can tell you here are things you can easily get wrong. That's why we do it, not because we
actually try.
Yeah.
Like we just skim the rules and then play. So that way we're like, here's all the things that are, if you just skim, you're going to get wrong.
Yeah.
You know,
Exactly.
so don't do that. Don't skim.
That's how in depth we are.
Yeah. It's a service.
It's not a bug, it's a feature.
Yes. But yeah, the rules, I think with experience teaching them, you can teach them pretty quick because it's really, there's a couple main action spots, there's a couple markets, and that's it.
Yeah.
And on your turn, you're doing one action.
There's 8 action spots, right? 8 actions you can do.
Which 3 of which are pretty much the same thing.
I mean, arguably 10 because there's the 8 in the middle, and then you go to the government, and then your board would make 11.
Well, yeah.
So 11 spots you can place, but really mainly the 8.
There's the 8 in the middle, and then
Yes.
running your board.
And then the government spots,
What's the government spots?
where you just place to buy government tiles.
That's on the machine and
No.
tank spots.
No.
The 4
Oh,
quadrant.
yeah, sorry. Where you actually buy the pipes.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. So that's another 4, depending on how many are open at the time.
Yeah.
So technically 10, and
Yeah.
then 11, and then 12, and then 13 for
It's
your
no
own stuff.
feast for Odin in its plethora of
No.
action options.
No, it definitely is not.
mainly what I was trying to get at.
Correct. Which is why I think if you get a good system for teaching it, that shouldn't be an issue in the long run. The biggest issue I think would come from like trying to learn what all of the different variable upgrades are, what all the different variable contracts or orders, the variable what are the end game scoring things called?
Valuations.
The variable valuations. Just learning those things, making sure you understand what they're going to be is clutch. Anything else you guys think of that was easy to miss, or Jeff, that was hard for you to understand when Zach was teaching you? Zach, anything that was easy to miss during your teach?
I think the only one that ever played all the rules right the whole time. Because we found out halfway through about the machine thing, and I had built a machine, so I couldn't run the machine for free anymore.
Yeah.
So I never ran my machine for free with a dude.
Well, none of us ran our machine for free with a dude. We ran pipes attached to the machine for free.
Yes.
It's a subtle but important difference.
Except you did that a bunch and got like crazy one on that one too. So,
I mean, I didn't do that all in the second game.
and you did all the contract stuff wrong on that play.
I did the contract stuff wrong on that.
You got like $800 on that one.
I crushed on that one. Turns out when you play super wrong, it's easy to do really well.
Weird.
Yeah, weird.
No, I can't really think of anything too troubling other than, don't get caught in a thing where you have to go for a loan, because you can get these are not like
Martin Wallace loans.
Martin Wallace loans. We're like, yeah, it's fine. These are like you take a loan and you're already in the hole, and every one you take lower, or it brings you lower and lower.
Yeah, you just get further and further fucked the
Yes.
more loans you
Yeah,
take.
it's like 20, 50, 90, 140, but every loan you take is only $15.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
and those numbers he was citing are negative
negative.
at the
Yep.
end of the game.
Yep.
So
I guess one thing is that for the secondary actions, which you can spend when you choose one of the 4 main worker placement spots, you can spend $10 and go to an adjacent one. It's just, you can choose. You don't have to go. It's not like you have to go to the main one and then like the refined. You can choose to go to the refined and then to the other one.
yeah.
And when you go to those like center actions, you get bumped up on initiative.
Yeah, and you can
You
choose.
could choose where you go into turn order.
Yes.
Which this isn't a game where like it's not like Food Chain where like there's a timing issue where you want to be last, and then all of a sudden be first. That's not just always put me fucking first.
No, I actually
Most
the very specific instances where you'd want to be last. But yeah,
So yeah, that's rules and rules explanation. So let's move on over to some gameplay.
once you learn the game, the turns, assuming people aren't paralyzed by AP,
Which
goes
is
pretty quick.
easy to do.
I think one thing you need to do is figure out if you can let people, if you don't want this to be a long game, don't let people test out the pipes before they place it onto their board.
Or it's going to be 10 minutes of figuring out which 6 pipes that they want to choose.
Exactly.
Out of the, how many are in each market?
Well,
Eight
it
in each
depends.
market.
Two
Government
per
market.
player. And then,
Well, I think he means 8. The government markets are 8.
yes,
The pipe or
the shops are like 2 per player.
2 per player,
Yeah, definitely. Plus, I think, I don't know. I'm good at spatial puzzles, so I have to be in a really hard spot to need to actually okay, I need to visually move this over here.
But when you're getting a lot of them at once, that magnifies that dramatically.
Yeah, trying to imagine how they all interact in your mind's eye.
Exactly.
But as soon as you let somebody do that, then everybody's going to do that, and it really bogs down the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, the AP really cranks up towards the end too, especially where you're like, all right, what are my last, penny pinching maximizing moves? Is it actually worth it for me to sell this oil at 45, or should I just keep it because at the end of the game it's going to be worth 30, and then that valuation is going to make it worth another 30. Oh yeah, okay, so I should keep it. But if I sell it now for 45, I can use that money to do something else, which might give me, and so. The math can kind of grind people down there, right?
Well, and especially this is a definitely a game where you can screw up by doing some wrong placements of things in your pipeline to where it's going to be hard for you. There isn't a catch up mechanism in this game as far as I can tell. So if you screw up in the beginning and someone doesn't, it's going to be hard for you to get up to them.
Yeah, especially things like placing a machine in the middle of your pipe network so that now you can no longer run any of your pipes without spending $15 at the end of your turn.
Exactly.
That's a thing that's just going to suck money. Unless you're in a position where you have a good source of immediately sell, you have a good contract.
Mm-hmm.
That might work because then you can immediately fulfill your contract, get a bunch of money, and use that money to do other things. But if you're trying to just get your ball rolling and it's whoops, now I lost my main big pipe that I use to refine things, and I can only get that by spending $15.
Well, because that's definitely something you need to learn in this game is you don't want to do the machine too late because
you don't get any use out of it.
You won't. Well, not just that, but if you are spending your action running the pipes, it means other people are able to do stuff they're spending $15 to do other things in addition to running the pipes.
Yes.
But you also don't want to do it too early because, like you said, if you don't have a good machine running,
engine,
and a good engine for it, to get money that you can then use to put into machine to get you more money to be able to sell, it can be hard to get out of that without having to take those loans.
Yeah, I think really you want to make sure that you're in a position where if you're running a machine, you probably want to be getting at least 2, if not 3 or 4 different pipes that are running off of it.
Yeah.
If you're using your machine to run one oil cube up a little bit, then that's going to be a losing proposition. It's not worth the 15 for that. But if you're getting to run 4 for 15, and that boosts all of them to varying levels of low, mid, and high that you can then go to a market and sell, then that'll probably work out a little bit better for you.
Also, when you get those machines going, you have to keep in mind where you're actually selling it to, because when you're selling to the refined markets, there's only so many slots you have to sell different types of oil, and they get cheaper the more you kind of funnel that in there. So if you're specializing in the gray and orange, there's only one market that has both gray and orange that you can sell at. Gray and orange are on the other ones, but it's only one or the other.
Yeah.
So if you specialize, you sort of can, if you start conquering that market, there's only so much you can actually do with that unless you have one of those contracts or orders to sort of funnel in your excess.
Yes. Yeah. And that's usually, the contracts are good for that, and especially because you don't have to spend an action to do that.
No.
So,
but you don't get as much money.
Yeah, I mean that's
than selling.
Yeah, the way to get the most amount of money takes the longest, right?
Yeah.
So that's where it's you have things that are making it cheaper, but you're going to end up getting more money overall because of it.
Yes. And then there's multiple spots to buy, but if you buy from the markets you sell from, there's only one type of oil you can get. But if you go to the crude market, it's sort of flip-flopped in their costs, but you have the full access to all types.
To buy the crude oil,
yeah,
but no, you can't sell anything there.
No.
So, and the 4 major actions you do, which is the pipes, not the pipes, the tanks and pipes, the machine and pipes, the upgrades, and then the
contracts and loans.
Yes, those are random in where they start each game. So sometimes it can work out well to be like, oh, I can go to this machine and then also be able to buy oil that'll let me run it. Otherwise, it's like, oh, well, the machine is tied to the crude market where I can get some oil, but I can't sell anything there to get the money to run my machine.
And that's kind of the only real variability in the game where those are.
So, I mean, there's variability in, like, that's the biggest.
Yeah.
That and the fact that there are 7 different upgrade paths, but you only choose 5 of them.
Yeah.
So you don't play with 2 in any given game.
Mm-hmm.
And then also which orders come out, but that's like which orders and which contracts, but that's pretty much just
and those change out every year as well.
The contracts do, but those are just like, oh, this needs orange, or this needs blue, or this needs green.
And
They're
different
functionally the same.
qualities of each.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I mean, if like everything is orange, then people might go towards orange more versus if they're a variety. So
And the end game goals.
Which are, I would say, is the biggest, like one of the biggest ones in terms of
impact.
Biggest impact, yes, definitely.
Yeah, because that can potentially make one of your endgame scoring conditions like that thing's going to score triple, which could really make a huge
So
difference.
what are the scoring conditions?
So at the end of the game, the base scoring conditions that you go through is value of all of your oil, all of your refined oil in barrels. So
in tanks.
That's in tanks on your board that you own. So like low grades are 10, and then I think it's 30 for mid.
20, 30.
10, 20, 30.
10, 20, 30. So you score for all of your refined oil that are in your tanks. Then you score each pipeline based on the highest level it can refine in one step. So if you have one really big long pipe that can refine from crude all the way to level 3, you get a higher amount of points there. Jeff, do you have that? Looks like you got a little image of the board.
Yes.
So what are the refinery payouts?
Same.
It's
10,
same.
20,
10,
30.
20, 30?
Yeah.
I thought they were higher for the pipes.
No.
Oh.
It's just because one of the 4 valuations is always the ones tied to machine. So it's usually some pipes are going to be worth double.
Gotcha. And then from there, it's minus your loans and plus your cash on hand.
Yeah.
And those are the base ones. Then you go to the valuations, which are included in that. Like they're a section of that scoring strip. But the valuations, one of them, like Zach was saying, is always score every pipe that's connected to a machine. And then they can be anything from
the amount of tanks you have, the
amount of machines you have.
Yeah. The amount, if you have level 3 upgrades, if you have different, like unique different sets of pipes.
Yeah. Level 3 pipes, level 2 pipes, level 1 pipes. Rescore all of your oil in barrels, rescore all of your blue oil in barrels, orange oil, silver oil. Basically, any possible thing that might score, those can be in those valuations.
Yeah.
But yeah, so those valuations just kind of play off of things that are already out there. So it just can identify different things that are going to score multiple times, and that might be something you want to focus on.
Yeah. And I would say that it can dramatically change the focus of what you want to do during the game, because our last game we had we had the basic one of pipes on machines, so that already means that ideally pipes your good pipes are going to score twice, and then it was also score your blue oil and your blue pipes again. So now that meant blue pipes were worth quote unquote 3 times as much if they were attached to machines. And then there was also one that was, hey, here's the one, like you get to score this amount of money for different unique pipes. And so that's like, oh, well, if we build blue pipes, they're still going to, and if I do different sets to them, they are going to get more money too. So blue was very important that one game that we played.
Yeah, incredibly important.
It also helped that the actual
pricing for upgrades,
like the length
that needed
for upgrade was the smallest on blue.
It was 446. So you have technically 12 little just numbers that randomly go out onto the board to determine the length you need to upgrade to each one. So it could be like, oh, you need 4 pipe to go from crude blue to level 1 refined blue, and then you need 5 pipe for going from level 1 to level 2, and then 7 from level 2 to level 3.
But these are totally random.
Yeah.
So they can start with 7 and then 4, 4, or 7, 7, 7.
Yeah, so you could get one where it was 12 to go from crude to level 3 refined, and then 21. I don't know if there I think there's only 2 7s, so 20 to go from crude to level 3. Yeah. So there's a big variability there, and so on that one we were playing, blue was at 14, whereas the other one was at 15 and the other one was at 19.
Yeah.
So it was very easy to get into those points.
And it helped that we were first and second and were able to purchase all of the blue pipes.
Yes.
Yeah, turn order is important.
Especially, so that was one thing I wanted to talk about, was those valuations can be, especially because they're random, if they get so focused that first and second player can, like we did, because there weren't that many blue things available in the beginning. I bought an upgrade that let me get some, and then Jeff went to the government spot and bought like 4 or 5 of them.
Yep.
And then Adrian was just like, well, I'm sort of shut out of blue for right now.
Yeah. Well, especially because I knew like probably some of your next actions were going to be to go get all the cheap blue crude. And it's like, I can't just keep being in last. Yeah. And so I tried to.
Should have just bought all the crude out from under us and sat on it.
I mean, that's 100% what I probably should have done.
Now you can't run all those pipes you bought.
Yeah.
But now you don't have room to put any more oil in your own area.
Worth it.
Because you can't sell crude.
That is, yes.
You can, but
Yeah.
you sell it back to the crude market, which means you sell it for what you just bought it at.
Yep.
I mean, I guess I could have bought all the blue crude, the cheap blue crude, waited for you to buy the slightly more expensive, and then I could have sold mine and made like $2 a barrel.
Hey, that's $2, sir.
Oh, it couldn't have been any worse than how I actually played. So
yeah.
Yeah, so there are times when, and that can be frustrating, like because turn order is initially random, and you might just kind of get in a spot where if things kind of conspire against you in the multiple pools of randomness, then
because even if you're like, I'm going to be first next turn, someone else can just go to the turn order thing and be like, no, I'm going to be in front of you.
Yep.
It's not like you lock down.
Well, being in theory, if you're the last in the first round, you have the last chance to be like, no, now I'm going to be first.
That's true.
Upgrades.
They're super powerful. Well, some of them just seem fucking stupid.
Yeah. Or very, very specific in what they
very
could be used
situational.
for. Like the one, it's like, oh, you can do contracts twice in a year, and you're like, well, cool, but I don't want to do that now. I like, especially when we got that one, none of us were in a position to get a contract.
Yeah.
Until I got one at the end of the year, the end of the third, or near the end of the third year, that I wasn't even able to fulfill.
Yeah. That would have been really good for me in like in the one game where I super #asterisks win. I was making plenty of oil, partially because I was cheating.
Yep.
Well, because the oil I made, I was selling for way too much money, which let me buy way more oil than I should have been able to buy.
Exactly.
But that would have been a good example where I regularly had the ability to fulfill a contract.
Mm-hmm.
Being able to double fill it in that particular game would have been great.
Yes.
But it's, like you said, very situational for that one, where some like the government upgrade track that like just lets you right away take 2 as soon as you get the upgrade,
which lets you
choose which 2 markets are open.
Exactly, and you get to choose 2 of any of those. Whereas when you go to the government to get pipe tiles, you have to get things adjacent to you.
Yes, and then at the start of each of the subsequent years, you get to immediately take one for free, which means you'll get to choose what new market opens each year, which is huge.
Or get one that you really want.
Yes.
That's off by itself. That would be a waste of an action to get normally. And then, so that would get you 4 tiles for that one. And then if you buy the next upgrade, you get 4 more tiles. And then if you buy the next upgrade on that, you get 6 tiles. And so that's 14 tiles.
For 60 money.
For 60 money. But if you go to the government, to buy 5, it costs 55.
Yeah.
So that one seems like one of the most powerful ones, just in terms of, because so many of these valuations rely on pipe length,
Anything that's
it's literally in the name of the game.
Exactly.
Yeah,
It's all about, and it gets you 14 tiles. Like, and that means that people have to play so that you can't do that.
Yeah.
But like I said, you can choose to be like last on the second last turn, and then if nobody stops you from being last then you could be like, all right, well, I'm going to be first next turn, and then that lets you immediately go get that.
Yeah.
And then also with upgrades, when you buy an upgrade, you can choose to buy another one if you want, but when you buy an upgrade, it locks down that upgrade from anyone else buying it.
Yeah, and you additionally get to shut down another. So you can, in theory, buy 2 and shut down a third. And so you shut down 3 out of the 5.
Yeah.
And yeah, it gets real brutal.
The upgrades get limited fast.
Mm-hmm.
There's only going to be 1 or 2, maybe 3 people that get that a year.
Yeah.
And then there's 3 tiers.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes that third tier gets you an extra $100 on the end of the game.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which might win them the game.
It might, yeah, if it's a close enough game.
So sometimes it feels.
And then there's 3 copies of all the first tier ones.
Yeah.
But have any of those ever run out in the games you've played?
No.
Yeah.
I mean, technically, you don't need more than 3 because you could never buy a 4th one.
Yeah.
Of that.
Because there's only 3 years that you can ever
Exactly.
directly buy from that one.
Yeah.
But
It's basically 3 so that, but I guess there's only 1 too. So if you both of us buy the first one,
Yeah.
and whoever gets the second one, then that's it.
it's definitely the most denial-y of any of the actions.
Yeah.
Just be like, and you can't get that level 3
Mhm.
that you could have bought this year because I flipped over that tile
Exactly.
as I bought this other one over here.
Yeah. It's
Which can totally bone someone.
It definitely can. So for a game has such little like direct interaction, like that's the only one, and it can feel super powerful.
Yeah.
Because like you said, I was like, first thing I was able to do, go to the government, or go buy the government upgrade, and then immediately flip over what I was like, oh, this is the only other upgrade that seems really good this year. I'm just going to flip it so no one else can get it.
Yeah. And in initiative, there's no way to be like, I want to be last. You can't do that?
You can choose where you are.
Okay.
And when you go there, you choose where you want to be on initiative. You could be like, I want to be last so that I can then choose to be first on the next one.
But someone can behind you be like, no, I want to be last.
Yes. But they'd have to realize that that's what you're doing.
And no one ever, I mean, granted, it didn't super come up in any of our games, but yeah, that
in this
definitely
very
didn't really
specific
happen.
situation.
Yeah.
About upgrades.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they seem real powerful.
Some kind of suck. But,
Yeah, some don't seem that great. Right? So, final thoughts then?
Sure.
Sure. Do you have more gameplay?
No, I
Okay.
can't think of anything right now.
Okay.
It's pipes.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure we'll have more stuff when we do feedback. So
Fair enough. Jeff, what are your final thoughts on Pipeline?
It's pretty, and there's a lot going on, and it's fine. But it's not a game that blew my mind as a not regular heavy gamer. It's pretty okay, I guess. It's easy enough to learn once you've learned it. I feel there's a lot more depth to this game if you wanted to put the time into playing this a whole bunch. Because it seems like if you've got the engine going and don't totally get boned and get into last place, you can sort of do a whole bunch of cool stuff in this game. But if you don't do it just right, you're not going to have fun because everyone else is going to pick everything up before you can or get
all
right
the cheap
pipes.
stuff before you.
Yep.
And yeah.
Yeah, you have to be pretty good at this game to enjoy it, I guess. Because if you're not doing well, you're not going to have a good time, and it's easy to not do well. Yeah, it's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't hate it,
Fair enough.
and it played in a relatively, short amount of time
For this style of game.
for this. Yeah, for this style of game, it's not like crazy long. Just don't let people play with their pipes all day. It's a good life lesson.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jesus.
Regardless of the context, it's good to know.
Yeah.
All right. Zach, what about you? What are your final thoughts?
So overall, this isn't a game for me, but I think a lot of my dissatisfaction is just the fact that it's not a game for me. When I didn't look too closely into this game before I actually played it. And then when we were setting it up and I realized that the pipes that we were building were our own pipe network, I immediately was like, oh, I'm building my own thing off to the side. Oh, okay. Because I thought it was something to do with building pipe, like us building a giant pipe network and trying to, interact through there. But that's my fault for thinking that that's what it was going to be.
A competitive semi-co-op.
I don't know.
Pipe building.
I don't know what I was expecting,
Yeah.
but
That'd be interesting.
Yeah. But that's
Not this
my
game.
yeah. If you like puzzles and trying to build your own pipeline thing, that's like it does a good job with that if that's what you're interested in. Like Jeff said, it's a pretty game. Once you learn it, turns can go fairly quick, and then you'll have AP moments, and then they will continue to go quick, especially if, like, on my turn, I'm going to run my oil. Adrian, he's going to run his oil. Jeff's going to run his oil. All right, and now it's back to me.
Yep.
People should know. Go ahead.
There's 18 actions total in the game that you can do over across the years.
Minus secondary actions, yeah.
Yeah.
There's 18 rounds.
18 rounds.
Yes. So theoretically, 30 a total of 36 actions, but I don't understand how you'd have the money for that.
You
but
would definitely not ever have the money for that.
You just cheat like Adrian.
I mean, yes.
Yeah. And even those secondary actions might not even be useful.
I think people should know that I tend not to be a fan of worker placement where you can't block people, which you can't do on this one. But I wouldn't know how the game would work if you could.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, just a lot of it reminded me of Vita Lacerda games, and I haven't been fans of those. But I do like that this one is quicker, and I do agree with a lot of what Jeff said. Of there's definitely some depth that you can find in here if you want to look into it. I do not particularly want to, but I would still rather just go play brass, I think, at this point.
Yeah, there's some network building in there.
Yeah, exactly. That just has so.
Fair enough. So you said that I feel like you mentioned that almost immediately, like after the first game.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time I was like, no, they're so different games.
Yeah.
Well, and actually, because we talked on last Wednesday's episode.
Yes, we did. Yeah.
Not the one just this week, but last week's. You said that, and we talked about like the different wines. Like, oh yeah, if you're into wine, you know the difference between different types of red.
Mm-hmm.
But otherwise, if you don't really know wine, it's like, well, this is red wine, and I want to go drink white wine.
Yeah.
After playing it some more, I totally see what you
Right?
mean. I'd just rather play brass.
Yeah.
I wanted to like Pipeline a whole lot, and man, it's been one of the sharpest curves from like I like this, I want to play more, to nah, I'm done, that I've had in a long time. Especially for like a heavy game from Capstone.
Uh-huh.
Like, man, I wanted so bad to like this game. Like I was bummed I missed the Kickstarter. That was while I was unemployed and I couldn't afford it. It looked beautiful. Like that first play I really enjoyed. I thought there were like, there was clever things going on, and I really like spatial puzzles, and I like economic games and all of that. And I was like, there's going to be so, like, it's never going to feel the same because there's all these different things that can happen. And then every single game of it I have played has felt exactly the same. I haven't felt like there's different strategies. Like even Food Chain, where people complain about like its scripted openings, there's at least like 2, maybe 3 that are roughly comparable. So you can choose one of those to go down. I feel like in all of the games I've seen in Pipeline, it's pretty clear what you need to do at the start. Like,
Get government.
Government has been huge in every single game I've played, like, and I didn't even give him a point. I never once really felt like, once I got past the learning game, I never really felt like I had an interesting decision. It wasn't like, ooh, should I do A or B? It was always like, well, what can I do? Like, okay, I'll do the thing I can do, like, or if there was an option, it was like, well, clearly this is the better option. Like, I need to do this thing. But yeah,
The only time you've chosen the worst move is that you didn't realize the other move was the better move.
Yes. But yeah, it just ended up really, really disappointing. I haven't wanted to. Our last game of it, granted, I that was the game where turn order, I felt fucked from the start. There was very little, like, even I tried a couple different things to like get out of that hole, and I just never really could. I even took 2 loans in that game, like pretty early, to have the extra money to try and do something different. And it never really worked. But that has been the most I've wanted a game to end since like Rising Sun. Like, it was like just Rising Sun levels of like, please God, let this game end. Like just can we stop? Can we? And it hurts. I was looking at BGG a little bit because I was trying. And I'm hoping like maybe somebody like Nick or one of the other heavy gamers in the Slack channel will be like, no, Adrian, here's all the things you're missing, and I'll be like, oh shit, that makes sense. Let me check that out.
Yeah, because when we were talking after our last game, I was like, so are you done with this game, Adrian? And you're like,
I don't want to be.
I don't. Yeah,
I think I am, but I mean, I could be convinced if somebody can be like, no, here's what you're missing. Here's how you need to like, you're just thinking about something wrong. You need to shift your perspective. Like, I'd love for it to be something like that. I'd love for this to be a me problem. I'm not sure it is. Somebody who I really respect their opinions on heavy games, Dan Thrott, he had a criticism about this game that I found researching like strategies or like things to try and understand more of the depth of this game. And his sums it up as long as you can automate early in the game, the resulting boom will see everyone else at the table eating dust. It effectively divides the game into haves and have-nots competing in 2 different games for 2 different levels of score. And regardless of whether we were playing the right rules or the wrong rules, or whether it was a game where everybody had a fair chance at the start, or whether somebody got hosed by the way the things just randomly kind of came out, every game's ended up that way. Like in your first game, you were pretty much like, oh yeah, I'm going to be last.
Yep. Because I had set up a position where I was not going to be able to automate without fucking over my pipe.
Yeah.
And even in this last one, I didn't automate till late, but you guys tried to automate early and then ended up fucking you over.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I don't know. I hope that there's somebody who listens to this review who can send in some feedback and be like, Adrian, here's what you're missing. Here's why it's great. And like show me something that I missed. But as of right now, man, that flopped hard for me, especially considering how much I wanted to like it. Like, I feel so crushed.
Yeah.
Like, I got a heavy game back on the show, and I didn't like it. And that sucks.
I want to say I almost feel like you dislike it more than us.
He started at a high and came pretty low. We already started pretty mediocre and ended up pretty mediocre.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I think that's the biggest. I'm still like, it's the stages of grief.
Yeah.
Like I'm still in like the denial, like, or no, I think I might have moved past the denial. Maybe I'm in the anger. So I haven't quite, I don't know. I'm somewhere in there.
There is an official like handicap system that they were talking about from the designer that for experienced players playing with less experienced players, it's as simple as like level 1, 2, 3, and it's just adding 1 to that number from crude to low, or from crude to medium and medium to high, depending on your experience level.
Yeah, see, the problems I had with it, and like the runaway leader, and like being screwed like right from the outstart just because you were randomly the last player, handicap's not going to fix any of that.
No.
Like handicap, like yes, if there's legitimate skill differences, then sure, I could handicap myself when I'm teaching new players because I know how to build my pipe better because I figured out that puzzle.
Yeah.
Yeah, handicap system doesn't interest me at all.
No.
I was looking at that too. So I don't know. We'll see. Maybe listeners will have some deep insight that will bring me back around. Speaking of listeners, we do have some listener feedback from people who contributed to the BGG thread prior to recording. Zach, do you have those ready to go?
Yes, I do. This first one is from Nick. I'm still a little on the fence about this one after my first play. I think the game has a lot of potential, and it's certainly very tight with a lot of room for various strategy. However, I worry a bit that the game will play itself out once you figure out the efficiency puzzle. Still, I think there are a dozen or more plays in it just to figure that out, so I suspect that it will pay for itself in plays by the time it plays itself out. See,
that's not the response I wanted from him.
No. I feel like my barrier or my level of the game will play itself out is a lot less than it seems like a lot of other people.
Yeah.
Because it's like after 3, I'm like, okay, I know, I get what the game's doing now. I got it. Where it seems like Nick will take 12 plus games. And I'm like, oh, that's a lot of games.
That is indeed a lot of games.
Next one from Steve. I really enjoyed my first play. The potential here is crazy for customization and optimization. The upgrades seem way overpowered, but very risky to get. And I'm not sure I like the valuations basically just being copies of the other already endgame scoring options. I've only played it once, but hope to play it a few more times in the coming months. I can understand that valuation thing.
Yeah.
Because there are definitely there was a times where it's like, oh, well, basically pipes score triple. So we just focus on that.
Yep.
Or it's like, and I remember one point it was like, oh, oil barrels score double, meaning that if you actually sold it on the market, you lost money versus keeping them at the end.
Yeah.
Yep.
That happened a lot in that first game, whereas like you actually, in retrospect, shouldn't have sold anything that last round.
Yep. Jeff Calgary says, but why can't you send orange and blue oil down the same pipe? It's called batching pipelines and something the industry does regularly. And really, they couldn't even have called them sweet crude, sour crude, condensate, gasoline, kerosene, etc., and then colored the pipelines? Doesn't matter. No, of course not. But it would irritate the hell out of me if I was playing it. Maybe this is why people get so invested in historical accuracy in war games.
Fair enough.
Those are just dude 1 and dude 2. You don't need to know who they are.
That's George Washington.
I'm not particularly interested in this game, but we'll see if your review changes that. I'm going to guess no.
Yeah.
Next one is from Joshua. I've played it 5 times so far.
Okay.
4 at 2 and 1 at 3. Oh, we forgot to mention we never played it. We played it at 3 and 4, but we never
You
played
and
it.
I played it at 4.
Yes.
I only played it at 3.
Yeah,
None of us ever played it at 2.
Okay.
Yeah. I tried to talk Megan into playing it, but no dice.
I didn't think I would dig the solitaire nature of this, but it's really sticking with me. I keep wanting to play it and do better. Spoiler, I'm not doing better yet. I think even once you, quote-unquote, figure out the good strategies, that the other endgame scoring conditions, variable upgrade paths, markets, and player interaction will keep it fresh longer than most. The spatial puzzle is fun, even though it's my weakest game mechanism in any game. I just do poorly at it in most games. Can't really put my finger on why it keeps drawing me in.
See, that was like I was really hopeful after the first game that like all that other things would keep it fresh.
Yeah.
You know, because I think of a game like Food Chain where like literally everything's the variable setup of the tiles is the only real difference. But I feel like even if you played on the same map, different things are going to lead to like different ads being in different, like the game will feel like it moves in legitimately different ways. Whereas this one, whenever we've ended the game, like if you look at the boards, it's like, yeah, the pipelines are in slightly different orders, but they're really doing the same things.
Yeah.
Like the most of the same upgrades get taken. Like it's always the same upgrades getting taken. Valuations just change what points you get. They don't really change. They sometimes, like if they're all blue stuff, it might change your strategy through the game, but I don't know. It got real samey real fast for me.
I get that. And this last one's from Kyle. I love economic style Euros. This game is so tight, it gets my brain working in a way others haven't. I'm not saying I'm good at all games, but I usually know a good strategy going in, but with Pipeline, I just haven't figured it out. I've only played 2 games, but it wasn't until the end of game 2 where I could see where some good strategies are. I don't mind the indirect conflict, but I do wonder how many games it'll take before I understand it enough to play against the players and not just the board.
Yeah, and maybe that's where I am. Maybe I'm still just not seeing the strategy that's there after my 3 plays. Maybe I need more to really find the depth in this one.
Well, I know Paul liked this. He liked the game after his 1 play.
I mean, so did I.
Well, I'm saying you can at least get another play out of him, I'm sure.
Yes.
I mean, and it's there are definitely some people here who are liking it. So,
yeah.
You know.
I mean, I had heard a lot of good things, leading up to this. I was really excited for it. So we'll see.
And that's it for BGG.
Right on. Now that you've heard our reviews and our listener feedbacks, if you're interested in getting Pipeline, it is available on Capstone Games' web store. Free shipping, over $50. And they have the retail edition for $60 as a Gen Can't special. So you get free shipping on the retail edition. And they have a limited amount of the Kickstarter editions as well for $70. So either way, you still get that free shipping.
Was there anything Kickstarter specific that you remember?
Not that I know of offhand. Okay. I can't remember.
We did actually get one Twitter response, too.
And these are pre-orders.
Oh, yeah, that just came in while we were recording.
Yeah, and it was just Tom saying, my thoughts are that I would like a copy. Please mail now. Well, we don't own the game, so we can't do that. I mean, you know what? We could do that and just be like, sorry, Paul. I'm sure he'd be okay with it. He's got enough games.
Yeah, sure. Why not? We'll just send balls away. I mean, I have it right now.
Yeah,
I could just drop it in the mail and Paul can't do shit about it.
Exactly.
So
He trusts us like a rube.
I know, right? What a punk.
And these are pre-orders. I think it's like end of July that these will ship.
Really?
Believe
'Cause
so.
They don't seem to be on the website that I'm looking at on Capstone.
Maybe their Amazon site is just doing pre-orders right now.
Oh, yeah. I'm on actual capstonegames.com.
Gotcha.
And
So you can get it from Capstone right now,
directly.
or you can get it from Amazon July 25th for the same price.
Fair enough.
Yeah. And it seems it's $70, but I don't know if it's...
For the retail?
Doesn't say if it's specifically the retail or the Kickstarter
Yeah.
edition.
The retail's MSRP is $70.
Okay.
And it's currently on a Gen Can't special that will expire August 4th.
Gotcha.
So, and that's only for customers in the U.S. So those of you not in the U.S., sorry.
Specifically, if you want to know what the Kickstarter version was. Spot UV coating on the upper half of the box, embossed pipeline logo, foil stamped lettering on the front, bottom half, and all sides of the game box, a linen bag with silkscreen design. That's where all your tiles are stored.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
Yeah. So get the Kickstarter.
Right on. That basically wraps everything up for the review.
Sure does.
If you want to get a hold of us, you can send us emails.
Emails at milehighgameguys.com.
You can find us over on Twitter, where I tweet under @MHGameGuys.
I am Zach_MHGG.
I am Jeff_MHGG.
We have Facebook and Instagram, both /MileHighGameGuys, where you can follow along with us on either of those if those are your preferred social media. We have our website, milehighgameguys.com, with links to our Board Game Geek Guild number 2731, links to our Slack channel, where we have all kinds of redonkulous conversations and chit-chats and things of that nature, and has a link to our Patreon, patreon.com/milehighgameguys, if you would like to support the show with money. Yeah, plenty of ways to get in touch and interact with us. Just a reminder, as we announced in our anniversary extravaganza stuff, we will be going dark at the end of the month, while Zach and Jeff travel to Gen Con. So if you're going to be at Gen Con, you can get in touch with them and hang out, play games. We got just ordered some fancy badge ribbons. We'll have a handful of our dice and some stickers, some of that basic swag that you can get from them if you want. And then we'll be dark a little bit before they leave, and then a little bit after they get back, as we hopefully complete the transition over to the new studio and get video set up and do some test videos and just make sure it's all squared away. And then we'll start having some live video, so you can see faces to go with these dulcet tones.
And that's when it all goes downhill.
The nightmare will really begin.
Yeah.
That's when it all crashes and burns.
Yep.
Oh, this is what these guys look like? Never mind.
But yeah, so that's all exciting stuff coming up. But just, plan ahead that right around Gen Con, aside from the stuff they record at Gen Con, daily diaries, interviews, things like that, your most podcast is going to temporarily be like...
Except for those 5 or 6 episodes that will release over Gen Con.
Yeah, so we'll go from most podcasts to average podcast.
Yes.
So...
And each one of those is probably going to be an hour.
Wouldn't be surprised. But yeah, stay tuned for all that. And we'll be back next week with another round of episodes for you. So thanks everybody for tuning in. As always, I've been your host, Adrian.
I am still Zach.
And I'm Poopline Jeff.
No. No. Bye.
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 Punchboard Media,
where we all
bring something
to the table.
Pull up a chair
at punchboardmedia.com.